Yes, so children, after nitrogen, oxygen is the second most plentiful gas in the atmosphere. It is heavier than nitrogen and lighter than carbon dioxide, and its concentration is about 20.94% in the atmosphere. Now, as we all know that oxygen is also called the life gas, the life-giving gas, because it is the basis of life for all organisms, including human beings. And oxygen is also having one more important function. It is very essential for combustion, that is for burning. Now the third is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the heaviest gas of the atmosphere, and carbon dioxide is released in the air through the respiration by animals, okay, by burning of the fossil fuels and from decaying remains of plants and animals. Several other gases also forming the remaining part of the atmosphere, such as water vapor, which forms the clouds. So this is how the exchange of gases takes place in the atmosphere. And oxygen, one more important function is it helps in the plants. It is used by the plant. It is released by the plants in the process of photosynthesis. And carbon dioxide is used by the plants, and oxygen is released. This is how the balance of the exchange of the gases takes place in the atmosphere. Now our next topic is air pollution. So any undesirable, unwanted change is happening in the composition of the atmosphere is known as air pollution. Now many undesirable elements are there, which like soot is there. Soot is a very, it is a kind of a black smoke. Then smoke is also there. Fluorocarbons are also there, which are present in the air atmosphere. And these elements are released into the atmosphere due to the human activities. And substances that are causing the pollution are known as pollutants. Now, in cities and industrial areas, we have seen that automobiles, factories, they are the chief polluting agents because they are emitting, releasing the large amount of the gases, oxide gases such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and sulfur dioxide. So they are also emitting solid pollutants and unburned carbon particles from the fuels. So all these oxide gases and the poisonous metals are very very harmful for us. And also from the process of volcanoes also the pollution level is increased because volcanoes also releasing lot many gases. Oxide gases are there, hydrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, all these gases are released during the volcanic eruption also. So carbon dioxide is also very necessary for the growth of the plants because they prepare food by the carbon dioxide. The amount of absorbed carbon dioxide by the plants seem to be equal to the amount released by the human beings and animals. So this is how a perfect balance in our environment is maintained. But the balance of the carbon dioxide is disturbing us day by day because of the factories, because of the industries, vehicles, etc. are adding a huge amount of pollutants. So this imbalance is adversely affecting our Earth's natural resources and climate in day-to-day lives. Along with dust and dust particles and water vapors are also present in the atmosphere. And the dust particles also play a very significant role in the process of the condensation, because in the dust particles there are also called hygroscopic nuclei, as they provide a center which in through which a raindrop forms. And the more the raindrops are forming, the more the cloud formation will be there, and the more cloud formation, the more precipitation will be there. So both the water vapors and the dust particles are found in the lower layers of the atmosphere. So just like the lithosphere, the atmosphere is also formed by the different layers. So our atmosphere has a layered structure. So our next topic is the layers of the atmosphere, our third topic. So our atmosphere has a layered structure, and it is form of different layers. So the atmosphere plays a very crucial role. So on the basis of the concentration of different gases vary with their height from the earth's surface, the dense and the heavy gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc., which are found in the near earth's surface, and the lighter gases are found at the higher altitudes. So based on the temperature, the atmosphere is vertically divided into how many layers? 5 layers. The atmosphere is divided into 5 layers. The first layer is troposphere, number 2 is stratosphere, number 3 is mesosphere, number 4 is thermosphere, and number 5 is exosphere. So the boundaries between these layers are neither fixed and nor well defined, because these layers are most of the time they are overlapping each other and they vary in the thickness also. So based on the temperature, the atmosphere is divided vertically into the 5 layers, and now one by one we are going to read in detail about them. So which is the first layer? We have covered up this topic, the atmosphere. This is the composition of the air through the pie chart. Children, you can have a look at this. All the gases we have covered up just now only. Okay. Nitrogen is the most plentiful abundant gas prevailing in the atmosphere, followed by oxygen and then other gases. Nitrogen cycle we have covered up right now. Process of photosynthesis also we have covered up in the gases. Oxygen photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide. Here you can see that huge air pollution is caused because of the emission of the oxide gases. Now our next topic is layers of the atmosphere. So the first layer, which is the first layer? The troposphere. So the term tropo is derived from the Greek word tropos. It means turning. It means turning. And this is the layer that immediately surrounds us. It is the lowest, densest, thickest and closest layer of the atmosphere, which is known as the troposphere. And this is the most important layer of the atmosphere. The air which we breathe exists here, the oxygen. And because of the presence of dust particles and water vapor at low levels, all the weather phenomena, that is all the natural processes takes place here only. Like rainfall, fog, hailstorms, they all are taking place in the atmosphere only. And exchange of heat and moisture also takes place in this layer. And because of this exchange of heat and moisture only, what happened? The ocean currents also play a significant role in determining the climatic conditions near the coastal areas. Now the sphere extends from the Earth's surface to an average height of 13 km. And the layer is ending at the tropopause. This layer is ending at the tropopause, where the temperature is generally very higher, that is around 57 degrees Celsius. So thus we can say that the layer of the atmosphere closest to the Earth's surface is troposphere, and it is extending up to, here you can see, it is extending up to 8 km above the poles and 18 kilometers above the equator. Here poles 8 kilometers and 18 kilometers above the equator. It extends over the equator is more because of the intense heating at the equator expands the air. Okay, this is one of the rule which we have to thumb rule, children, which we need to understand in this chapter, that at the equator when the air becomes hotter, it expands and it rises up, and at the poles the air is cold, so it is very dense and very heavy. So that is why the troposphere is therefore more compressed here as compared to the poles, and the temperature decreases with the altitude as we are moving up, no, as the height increases, and the height of thousands of kilometers is known as altitude. So as the altitude increases, the temperature decreases at the rate of 1 degree Celsius after every 165 meter within the troposphere, remember. And we call it normal lapse rate of the temperature. And the upper limit of the troposphere is tropopause. Here only we have the water vapor and dust particles. And the atmosphere does not get heated directly by the sun rays. The troposphere absorbs maximum heat from the warm earth, and the heated surface of the earth warms the layer of air present above it. Now, which is the second layer? Stratosphere. Okay, so the second layer is the stratosphere. So this zone lies above the tropopause. Okay, above the tropopause here. This is our stratosphere here. So this low zone lies above the tropopause, that is the space between the troposphere and the stratosphere. And it is extending up to 50 kilometers. See, its height extends up to 50 kilometers. And the temperature in this layer increases with the height after about first 20 kilometer. So the temperature increases here. And in the zone of first 20 kilometers, what do we have here? We have here high ozone concentration. And it has formed its own layer. And ozone is a form of oxygen, and its chief function is to filter ultraviolet rays of the sun reaching the earth. And this layer that is ozone ozonosphere, is the most ideal. This stratosphere is the most ideal, suitable for flying aeroplanes because of the absence of the clouds and weather conditions. So that is why stratosphere layer is very important. Because it also absorbs harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. So the higher temperature conditions occur here. And as the stratosphere is free from the clouds, thunder, lightning, so the atmospheric conditions are ideal for the flying of large jet planes. And most of the planes, they just fly above the tropopause to avoid any kind of disturbances present in the troposphere. Now we are moving to the third layer, which is mesosphere. Meso means middle. So now we are reading the third and the middle layer, which is mesosphere. And this mesosphere is spread as, let us see the extent. What is extent? The extent is, this thermal layer extends up to 80 kilometers. 80 kilometers from the upper layer of the stratosphere. And temperature in this zone decreases with its height. So temperature is decreasing here. What we have read here, that in troposphere temperature increases, in the stratosphere temperature is increasing, but in mesosphere the temperature is decreasing with its height. And at the mesopause, here also we have the mesopause. So at the mesopause, the upper layer of this zone temperature falls to minus 95 degrees Celsius. And all the meteoroids, we have learned in the class 6 meteoroids. So all the meteoroids, they burn up here on entering from space. How? Let us see how. Meteors burn in this layer due to the air resistance and the friction in the presence of some oxygen. And most of these rocks, they from space, they turn to dust or burn when they enter the earth's surface. And now children, we are going to read about the fourth layer, which is thermosphere. So it extends from mesosphere. Okay, it extends from mesosphere up to what height? Up to 450 kilometers. See, this is complete our thermosphere. So it is extending from mesosphere to the height of 450 kilometers. And the temperature in the lower layers of the thermosphere is stationary. And temperature rises rapidly with the height. And the chief characteristic or the chief special feature of this thermosphere is the formation of ionosphere. Now, ionosphere is formed by the electrically charged particles called ions. So, ions are present here, which are forming the layer of ionosphere in the thermosphere. And these charged particles called ions, they reflect outgoing radio waves Thus, they make radio transmission possible on the Earth's surface, and with the help of this layer only, ionosphere, radio waves transmitted from the Earth's are reflected back to the Earth by this layer. Means because of this thermosphere only, what is possible? We can send our do the radio broadcasting to any part of the to any continent of the Earth. So the lower part of the thermosphere has electrically charged particles called ions, and radio waves transmitted from the earth are reflected back to the earth by this layer. This is how it is facilitating the long distance wireless and satellite communication also. Here. Now we are moving to the uppermost layer, which is the exosphere. Okay, so the uppermost layer of the atmosphere is exosphere, which is extending beyond the ionosphere up to 1600 kilometer, is known as exosphere. So it is the uppermost layer of the atmosphere which gradually merges into the space. In the beginning of the chapter only we have covered up that it is extending up to, our atmosphere is extending up to 1600 kilometer. Now it has very thin air, and all the light gases like helium, hydrogen are found here that are floating into the atmosphere from here. And temperature always remains higher here, 16 degree 100 Celsius in this layer. So this layer has very scattered gases, and the gravitational pull is very minimum in this layer. And it does not have any definite border to the interplanetary space. Okay. And the most important part, my most important feature of all these layers is children what? That in our houses very conveniently we are watching the television, cricket matches, news, everything all. So this is just because of the ionosphere. Because here we get the naturally electrically charged particles called ions, which help in reflecting and radiating our transmissions and our signals which we are sending from the earth. So this is how we have covered up all our 5 layers, children. So these all layers are composing our atmosphere. So this is how we have seen that atmosphere is very useful for us. It is of great importance. It is acting as a huge blanket, protective shield. Okay, it provides air to breathe. Communication is possible. Radio communication is possible. And the atmosphere protects us from falling debris, meteorites from the space. It provides us rain, weather phenomena. Okay, it is containing all the life sustaining gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and the ionosphere also reflecting radio waves transmitted from the earth, which makes radio broadcasting possible. So this is all the importance of the atmosphere. And now we are moving to our next topic, which is weather and the climate. Now let us read what is weather and what is climate. So weather is derived from the English word Wetter, and this word Wetter, W-E-D-E-R, Wetter, is of Germanic origin. So weather can be defined as the sum total of the current atmospheric conditions. And what are those atmospheric conditions? Like temperature, humidity. And what is humidity? The amount of the presence of water vapor present in the atmosphere is known as humidity. If we talk in general about the weather and climate, what ideas come in our mind? That weather and climate are the basic elements of the natural environment, and we are using these terms very widely. Sometimes we are using these words as the synonym of each other, but actually in reality they both are different from each other, weather and climate. There is a difference between the weather and a climate. And every day we talk about the weather because it always remains with us. Weather always remains with us and we can feel the weather conditions. We often say that it is very humid today, it is very cold today, it is very hot today. Okay. And thus weather, what is weather? Weather is what is happening within the atmospheric conditions right now, or which is likely to happen in the very near future, that is in the coming 24 hours. So weather is an hour to hour or day to day condition of the atmosphere. And on the other hand, climate forms the general weather conditions present in an area over a long period of time. Over a long period of time means over a period of 30 to 35 years. So weather can be defined as the sum total of the current atmospheric conditions, okay, of a particular time by observing the atmospheric conditions like temperature, humidity, wind and rainfall and of the given place. So we can see that atmosphere can be sunny, windy, rainy, cloudy or snowy. And climate is derived from the Greek word known as klima, and it means slope zone. So the climate refers to the average weather conditions. Prevailing means experiencing at a place recorded at over a longer period of time. So the climatic conditions can be recorded by observing the conditions which is prevailing over a longer period means around 30 to 35 years of 30 to 35 years of time. So climate is one of the basic elements of our natural environment. And the climate is also affecting our landforms, vegetation, soil types, agricultural activities. The kind of clothes we wear, the food we eat, and the houses in which we live, they all are related to the climatic conditions of the place where we all live. So weather relates to the daily atmospheric changes and conditions, whereas climate represents atmospheric conditions over a longer period of time, about 35 years of time. When the weather changes many times in a day, morning it is different, noontime it is different, evening time it is different, but climate remains constant, uniform for a longer period of time. Weather changes occur over a small region and climatic conditions relate to a larger area. Temperature, pressure, moisture, humidity, wind, they all are the major factors of weather and climate. And they all affect our atmosphere on a larger scale. And how do we get the information of the weather? How? We get the weather news from the news channels, and that is known as weather forecasting. Okay, so the weather news are publishing in the newspaper, they are broadcasting over radio, television. So this is known as weather forecasting, which is very helpful to us because they give us warning in prior only about the approaching of the storms, cyclones, super cyclones and the heavy rainfall, so that we can take the precaution in the prior only and we can shift the people towards safer place. So with this children, we have completed our this topic also, weather and climate. And now we are going to move to our next topic, which is air temperature. So what is air temperature? So the degree of hotness and coldness of air is known as temperature. And what is the main source of the earth of heat? Sun. Sun is the ultimate or the main source of heat on the earth. So the sun is the chief source of heat and light on this earth. And as you can see here, it radiates or sends out energy in the all directions. Let me show you with the help of some pictures. So this we have covered up children. This diagram is showing you the different layers of the earth. Then weather and climate also we have covered up children right now. You can have a look at it. Yes. So now we are reading now our next topic, which is air temperature. So the air temperature. What is air temperature? The degree of hotness and coldness of air is known as air temperature. And the sun is providing heat and light for all the planets in our solar system, known as solar radiation. And on your screen you can see children how we can measure the temperature. So temperature is measured with the help of an instrument called the thermometer, and it is expressed in the degrees on the Celsius or Fahrenheit scale. It is expressed in the form of Celsius or the Fahrenheit scale. So these are the units of measuring the temperature. And the temperature which is used in the weather stations or in the meteorological observatories, what are those thermometers? They are the 6 maximum or the minimum thermometers. Yes. So let us continue with our topic, air temperature. So the sun is providing us heat and light for all the planets in the solar system, which is known as solar radiation. Solar means related to the sun, and radiation means sun rays and the light. Sun rays. And earth. What is the distance of the earth from the sun? The earth is 150 million kilometers away from the sun, and it is receiving a tiny share of this solar radiation in the form of short waves that travel through the atmosphere and reaching the earth's surface. And the amount of solar energy received by the earth is only known as insolation or the incoming solar radiation. Incoming solar radiation. So the amount of heat received in maximum is maximum near the equator. Okay, so the amount of heat received is maximum near the equator, and it decreases near the poles depending upon the temperature. Temperature therefore measures the intensity of heat or degree of hotness, and that is why on the basis of the amount of heat received only, the earth has been divided into 3 zones: torrid zone, temperate zone, and the frigid zone. Yes. So the higher the altitude is there, the lower the temperature is there. Why and how? Because the amount of heat is the greatest near the equator. Because of the tilt of the sun, the equator is getting the direct perpendicular vertical rays of the sun. So that is why the amount of heat is the greatest near the equator, and it start decreasing as we are moving away from the equator, that is towards the poles. So that is why the poles are covered with the snow, because the poles or the polar regions do not get the direct sunlight. They get the inclined or the slant or the very little sun rays. The reason is that the places near the equator receives the vertical rays of the sun. So the higher the altitude, the lower will the temperature. We feel cold on the mountains, children. That is when the summer season we prefer to go to the hill station, because in the hill station the temperature is quite lesser and the climate is quite colder. Since air is less dense on the mountain, solar radiation cannot be easily trapped. And one more property, children, you have to remember, that water takes a longer time to heat or cool as compared to the land. So some of the rules are there, some thumb rules are there, which I will keep on telling you. The first rule we have seen that nearby the equator, the air is very hotter, and the hot air, what it becomes, the hot air becomes lighter, and that is why it expands and it rises up. On the other hand, cool air is heavier, denser, and that is why it sinks down, it comes down. So this is how the circulation of the air in the atmosphere keeps on going. This is the first thumb rule, children. And the second thumb rule is that water takes a longer time to heat or cool. We can say it is a property, one of the property of the water. So the places near the sea or any large water body having very mild, normal, cooler or moderate temperatures. And if a wind is blowing from a cold area, then the temperature will be lower or the vice versa. And now already I have told you that the temperature is measured in the degree of Celsius, and this was invented by whom? The scientist Anders Celsius. Anders Celsius. On the Celsius scale, the water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius. And the temperature is measured by an instrument called thermometer. And temperature in cities is much higher than in villages. Why? Think over it. And now children, we are going to read about our next topic, which is atmospheric pressure. It is atmospheric pressure. And before that, we are going to cover up the greenhouse effect and the global warming, and also we'll see the variations in the temperature. What are they called? So variations in the temperature means differences in the temperature. So the temperature at a particular place is not uniform. It is not constant because of the amount of the sunlight. Okay. So there is the variations occur because of the inclination of the sun rays and the duration of the sunlight. So the maximum and the minimum temperatures recorded at a place on a particular day is used to calculate the mean or average temperature for that day. Example, maximum temperature, minimum temperature. If the maximum temperature is 30 degrees Celsius and the minimum temperature is 24 degrees Celsius, so we are going to find out its sum and divide it by 2. And the result is 30 degrees Celsius. So this is the mean temperature of that place on that day. And in the same manner, we can calculate the mean monthly temperature also, and in the mean annual temperature also. This is how we see these minimum and maximum temperature we see in the news channel also every day. In weather forecasting, we see the maximum temperature and the minimum temperature. So the difference between the maximum and minimum temperature gives the range of temperature. It tells us about the range of temperature, and the range of temperature for the day is the diurnal range of temperature. That is, if you subtract 36 from 24 degrees Celsius, what will you get? You will get 1200 degrees Celsius. So the difference between the mean temperature of the hottest and the coldest month of temperature of a year is called annual range of the temperature. The factors already have explained you. The higher the altitude of a place, the lower is the temperature. The higher the altitude of a place, the lower is the temperature. The greater the distance of a place from the sea level, the higher is the range of the temperature, both diurnal and annual. And now we are going to move about our next topic, which is greenhouse effect and global warming. So let us try to understand what is greenhouse effect. So the greenhouse effect refers to the problem of the gradual rise or increase in the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so greenhouse effect means the increase of the temperature in the Earth's atmosphere, and it is caused by an increase of the gases, the hot gases. And which are the hot gases? Carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen oxide. And so because of the increase of these oxide gases in the air surrounding the Earth, which traps the heat of the sun. So these oxide gases are forming a kind of layer which traps the heat of the sun. And the process of heating up of the earth is termed as the greenhouse effect. So any gas that causes greenhouse effect is called a greenhouse. A building in a greenhouse effect, what is done, children? A building with the glass slides and a glass roof for growing plant inside is called a greenhouse. So this is how the greenhouse is built, by using the glass sides and the glass roof. So actually in old countries, the vegetables are grown in a big glass chamber known as greenhouse, and the panels allowing the sun to enter and to heat up the interior and do not allow the heat to escape. So this is how in cold countries the vegetables are grown in a big glass chamber. So the trapped energy is causing the heats up of the glass chamber, and this is how they allow the vegetables to grow. The greenhouse effect is similar. In similar manner, keeps the earth's surface warmer. As the greenhouse is keeping the greenhouse panel warmer, in the same manner, the greenhouse effect is making our earth's surface warmer than it would have been without it. So the outgoing heat is blocked by the carbon dioxide layer, and the water vapors present in the air. The excess pollutants in the atmosphere form this layer. Like which are the excess pollutants? All these oxide gases only, hot gases only. So all these oxide gases are forming this layer. And because of this layer, the trapped energy, the earth is getting gradually warmer. It is known as global warming. And this global warming is only causing the climatic change. It is also leading to the extinction of some plants and animals, and many glaciers on high mountains like the Himalayas, Antarctica. They all are melting at a very faster rate because of the global warming. So that is why there is a threat of melting of the glaciers, and that is why it is said that in coming years, what is going to happen? The glaciers are going to melt and the sea level is going to increase because of the global warming. Here you can see the condition. So as a result, the sea level is rising, causing floods in the coastal areas. So with this, children, we have covered up our topic of greenhouse effect and global warming, and now we are moving to the next topic, which is atmospheric pressure and conditions. So atmospheric pressure. Now what is this atmospheric pressure? It can be defined as the pressure exerted by the weight of air on the earth's surface. Now you know that the pressure is highest at the sea level and it decreases with the height. Now see on the mountains. On the mountains, it is atmospheric pressure is 930 to 900 millibar. Now what is this millibar? So atmospheric pressure is measured by an instrument called the barometer or the barograph. And the unit of measuring the atmospheric pressure is millibar, that is MB. And on the map you will see that it is shown by the isobars also. So the air is pressing us with a great force, but we do not feel this air pressure. This is because that the air is pressing us from all the directions equally. And our body is also exerting a counter pressure. So in our body also we have the pressure, and outside the body also we are having the pressure. So we are not able to feel it because the air is pressing us from all the directions and our body is also exerting a counter pressure. So apart from the altitude, children, the air pressure also depends on the temperature of a air at a given place. In hot areas, the air is getting heated up. Notice of the first rule already have told you. Again, the first thumb rule is applicable here. What happens in the hot areas? So which are the hotter areas? The equatorial areas. So in equatorial areas, in hot areas, what happens? The air is getting heated up and so it rises because it becomes lighter. So when the air is rising up, in the hot areas, the area of low pressure becomes. So in the equatorial regions or in the hot areas, we have the areas of low pressure. So these areas are known as low pressure areas. Which areas? The equatorial regions or the hot areas are known as low pressure areas. And on the other hand, in cold areas, which are the cold areas? The polar regions. In the polar regions, what is the thumb rule here? The heavy air sinks. The air is very heavy because of low temperature. So the heavy air, the dense air sinks and creating high pressure. So in the polar regions, we have the high pressure areas. And whereas we have in the hot areas, in the equatorial regions, we have the low pressure areas. And the low pressure area is also associated with the cloudy skies and wet weather. But high pressure areas linked with the clear and the sunny sky. Now our next topic is also related to the air pressure only. But before that, we'll read more in detail about the air pressure. Yes. So now what we have learned, children, that the air has weight. Like everything, the air has weight because whenever you must have done the experiment of the balloon also. The balloon which is inflated with the air and the balloon which is not having the air. So the air has a weight which presses down on the earth. The weight exerted by a column of air on the surface is known as the air pressure. Air pressure decreases with the increasing altitude. It is higher at the sea level and it is getting lower with the increase in altitude. And air pressure is measured by an instrument called barometer. Let me show the picture now. This is the barometer. These are the two types of barometer. First barometer, second barometer. I'll show you more. The clear picture of barometer I am going to show you. With the help of those pictures, I'll explain you. So atmospheric pressure, you can see exerting pressure downwards the earth. Atmospheric pressure is always exerting downwards the earth. Yes, this is the first barometer known as the simple barometer. This is also known as mercury barometer. So this simple mercury barometer comprises of a tube. This is a tube with one end open and placed in a mercury. It is placed in mercury. As air has weight, so it is exerting pressure on the mercury. See here, these arrows are showing the pressure. So as air has weight, is it exerting pressure on the mercury and making it rise in the tube. So this is how the mercury is rising in the tube. Pressure is exerted, and mercury level is rising in the tube. And normal atmospheric pressure at the sea level is 716 millimeter. 760 millimeter or 30 inches of the mercury. And the unit of measuring the atmospheric pressure is millibar. So it is 1030 millibars. And if the mercury rises above this point, we can say that the pressure is higher. But when it is below the point, the pressure is said to be the lower. Now this is the aneroid barometer. This aneroid barometer, this does not have a mercury, and it is made up of a thin metal drum. Okay, it is made up of thin metal drum from which air has been removed. The pressure of the outside air pushes the lid of the drum inward. And the higher the pressure is there, what will happen? The more the lid is pressed in. And in an aneroid barometer, the pressure on the lid is shown by a needle or a dial. And we also have in the self-recording barometer, a drum is connected to a pen which records the changes in the pressure on a moving band of paper. Now we are going to move to the next topic, children. Our pressure belt area we are going to cover in the next video, children.